All right, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Jeremiah again, back with another album review. And as you can see from the album cover behind me, we're going to be reviewing Dat Boi Vic again, but with his most recent album, One Day This War Is Going to End. Which is one of the reasons why it took me a little minute to do this review. Not because I wanted just to make sure that it's up to date and a very modern review, but also because of how deep, what I'm saying, how deep his albums are, how intricate his lines are, and I didn't want to rush it, but at the same time, I will say that this still isn't a absolute album review. I will miss some parts because usually how uh, I would do a review or just what my plan was is to give you some lines of every single song, but this album and the songs are so dense that I can't just pick one line, right? I think it would be a disservice to just pick lines from the songs when uh I would advise each listener to just go in on their own and just have a deep dive uh with this album. Any of his work, from his threads on Twitter to his albums, or just him even just debating and trolling. It's an art to it, you know what I'm saying? It's an art to it for sure. So I want to first start off with just the album cover itself, right? Uh, to me, what makes a good album or even a great album is that the album cover and how the album sounds matches, right? So you see that the name of it is One Day This War Is Going to End. And then you see like this very horror film type font, you know what I'm saying, with his name. And then you see like, just on the sides, it's like a blood spill, right? It's like it's like like a goosebumps font from the title itself, right? And the thing is that his name is bigger than the actual name of the album, right? Uh, so it shows and confirms, the dark past that he's, experienced himself, being this image of the guys that you see in the background. He talks about it a lot, and he even shows pictures of him, holding guns and holding stacks of money when he was in the streets. So it's also, like I said, he's an artist. He's a true artist because he's given a piece of himself. Like in the Bible, it says that God created us in the image of Him, right? So it's a certain and God is the ultimate artist, right? And we all have a piece of that in us. So when he's making his art, he's giving it to us plain and uh, giving a piece of himself into his work. So the first thing I thought of when I first just looked at the album cover, what I'm saying, if you are tapped into the black community, you see a bunch of YNs, what I'm saying, that's our lingo now for the guys that's running around in the shiesty mask and what I'm saying, doing the diss tracks and trying to taunt at they ops and all that type of stuff. You see that clearly in the picture. Another thing I noticed, and I'm not sure if he meant this, but the guy in the middle, to me, he looks like Young Boy, and the Young Boy is the ultimate YN, the leader of the YNs. And especially if you're from the South like myself, you see that they follow him almost like a prophet, like a cult leader, right? If Young Boy's hype, they hype. If Young Boy is on some cool, more player type attitude, they own that, right? So you see, and he's in the middle as well, right? You see that he's right in the middle, you know what I'm saying? Because he's the leader, right? He's the cash cow, right? So whatever attitude that he has, the other YNs, the followers, are also gonna carry forth that same attitude, that same energy. So that's the first thing I look at, what I'm saying, from a good album. And as you listen to the album on your own, you're gonna see right off the bat how dark it is, but he has, the dark lines, the dark sounds, dark production, and with even dark lyrics. But then he flips it into what he is now. Someone that seeks knowledge, someone that wants to teach, someone that wants to bring others that were in his same situation to the light. Right. So I got some notes, as I always do, because you can't just do album reviews off the dome, right? It's a disservice to the time that he took, because who knows, how long it took him to make this, right? So I'm gonna take my time and to dissect this and actually give this a true review, right? So, like I said before, the album cover, it matches the sounds of the record. And another thing that I noticed too is, like, just the title of it, right? One day this war is going to end, right? It is a war going on, especially if you live in a major city, right? I don't live in a major city, but even now, because of the influence of the big, gang wars in like LA, and then it went to Chicago, and then Philly, New York, it's trickling down to these mid cities in the South. And I'm living in Birmingham, Alabama. I live in the Gump for a couple years, and it's always, murmurings of a little war going on, whether it's official or not. It's coming down to mid cities. So if you are a black person, from any, type of city, no matter if it's a high population or rural area, there's been a senseless killing of youth, for the most part, from what I've, researched. And I got family that stay in Augusta, and you hear about, shootings of kids shooting at each other. And of course, if you from the Gump, live in the Gump, from Beham, what's like Bessemer, Alabama, Fairfield, Midfield, almost every other weekend, there's some type of murmurings of a killing that happened between youth, or even in the music, from the kids that make music from these midtowns all across the country, not just in the South, of them going at it, with somebody. And that's what I got from it, from just the first time, listening to it. It is a very small scale war going on, but it's a war of energy as well, that's on a far bigger scale of what we're going through here in America. So, uh, now I was gonna go into my favorite tracks real quick. I'm gonna show them. All right, so my favorite tracks from this tape is Burning Kings, Dancing with the Devil. All right, so we got Burning King. Oh, Blood Rain 2 is one of my favorite tracks on here. Dancing with the Devil, and the title album. What I'm saying, the title of the album, One Day, and how he also, the outro, how he ends off the album, One Day this war is going to end. Those are my favorite tracks, and I will get into more detail of why those are my favorite tracks. But I want to kind of go through. I'm not going to go through every single song, because this is just how dense it is. But it's going to be like a breakdown slash review of the album. So right off the bat, it's only 10 tracks and 26 minutes, which may seem like the stereotypical length of a hip hop album these days. A lot of guys just kind of have a hook, one verse, and outro, and they go on to the next song. That's sort of the case here, not really, because his verses are so dense that it feels way longer. Like the album feels way longer, because each line damn near is its own lecture. especially in the first song, Buried King. It's like almost the first 35 seconds of the song. It's like its own lecture in itself because that's just how good of a writer he is. So you might look at this and you think, oh, this is just a short album. Yeah, it's short in time, but it has just so much depth that you will have to keep listening to it over and over again. Like I said in my previous video, he dropped so many analogies of 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 film. I'm gonna get into that, and he's actually helping me. He's actually I got like a couple movies, on my watch list from different streaming platforms that I'm gonna watch just because of this guy, right? So it's very dense album. So I'm gonna just stop talking about how dense it is and actually get into the depths of it. So the first song, Burying Kings, he talks about him dissing Aiden Ross. And I remember seeing this on Twitter, and I'm like, why is that boy Vic going at Aiden Ross like this? And I'm thinking like, nah, he ain't just trolling. He's not the type of, at least from what I've seen from his page, a little over maybe a year and a half, 2 years that I've listened to him, that he's not a type to just troll for no reason or not have like an intellectual type of angle that he's trying to get at when he's going at somebody or trying to debate someone real quick, or because he always drop a lesson in it and he kind of goes about his business. He's not sitting around just arguing just the sake of arguing on like no drama type tip, right? So I was like wondering like why is he doing it, and I just kind of brushed it off, didn't think nothing of it. And then when I heard the album for the first time, it kind of just reminded me, oh, that was what he was talking about. So I went back and found the clip of Aiden Ross, and he was like listening to some of his music and like going to Dat Boi Vic's like Spotify page and seeing his viewers and saying that his viewers are low. I can't listen to this guy. But at the same time, while I'm listening to him, I see that he struck a nerve, right? And that's what him, saying, going at him about going at Farrakhan and calling him racist and all that stuff. It woke something up out of him to that even if he did think that his viewership is too low for them to be in the same arena, he's still in the same arena because he commenting on him, right? Because that's just how good this guy is with words and how his intellect can even make a quote unquote superstar. I don't think he's a real superstar. He just got a lot of money behind him to push whatever he's pushing. I don't even know nothing about Aiden Ross to be real, which I just know he's a popular streamer, right? And that really don't mean nothing these days as far as intellect, right? So he went at him in the song, and I'm not gonna go into the lines. Like I said, there's just too many lines in this whole album for me to point out anything. I want you to go and listen to it yourself. But he was talking about another thing too, that boy Vic, he actually said Aiden Ross, his full name, Aiden Rothstein. And if you know anything about anybody that has a Steen in their name, it's a Jewish name, right? There's nothing against that, but it's he was making a point, and if you know, you know. I don't know how sensitive YouTube is about that group, but if you know, you know, right? So he made it a point to say his full name, right? Because Aiden Ross, from what I've looked at from the small interactions that he had with that boy Vic, yeah, he is a culture vulture. He in his videos he be saying like "on God" and trying to use our lingo, and it just hits so corny and dry when he tries. So I like that track a lot because he did, even with his quote unquote small numbers, he got Aiden Ross attention because what he was speaking. Just the tracks that stood out to me. So the art of self-hate, right? And I also have a clip from Nipsey Hussle that I'm gonna show that it kind of brought back to memory of that clip of Nipsey. So the art of self-hate, what I'm saying? The gist of the song is that's how they say hurt people, right? And but the difference is with us, we have a higher crime rate in those highly black populated areas. So what he's saying in the song is that why do you hate yourself? The only reason all these crimes and all this pain and all this suffering and all uh this energy, this evil dark energy that we are giving to each other, right, is it's only happening because we don't have knowledge of self. Because knowledge of self brings self love, right? So that song in itself made me remember this Nipsey quote because I found out about Nipsey maybe a year. And I'm gonna bring up the quote right now. Maybe a year before he um he passed away, and I listened to him a lot, and he had this almost same exact kind of meaning from this clip that Dat Boi Vic had in the song. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it now.
Gangbanger, right? When you
We
go on
started
a
over.
mission,
1 second. 1 second.
as a gangbanger, right? When you go on a mission, you might, when you looking for your so-called enemy, you driving through a different hood down the street. You know, it's an invisible line. You cross this street, now you in another hood, and you hunting. And when you looking, you gonna pass up the dude that's dressed square, right? You gonna pass up a dude from a different race. When you see somebody that's dressed like you dress and got the walk like you got and got the body language like you gonna say, there you go, get him. And that's deep.
Whew,
You know what I'm saying? When you really unpack that,
that's crazy.
you know what I'm saying? You looking for yourself just on the other side of town. And you gonna hop out and attack him and try to down him in a real way. And being caught up in gangbanging culture, you don't think that deep. You just think of these niggas came through and shot the hood up. We about to go back through there and return the favor. As a gang,
Like he said, that's deep. It really is, because that is literally the war. Like I said, and especially in major cities and hoods in major cities, and now you're seeing it being trickled down into a lot of these mid towns in the south. Um, far as it being like a major concern, you're seeing it trickle down to these mid towns and rural areas in the south, and that's just literally the art of self hate. Because if you walk through any hood right now and you got on a suit, right? Like you might get checked, but they ain't gonna be, you know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna like really like do you dirty, right? Because it's just he a square. Like, they might roast you, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, you can get your suit wearing ass on somewhere, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how dudes is church wearing clothes, you know how we be when someone wearing a suit, right? Uh like that might happen, but they'll let you pass because they don't see you as a threat, because they don't see themselves in you to be a threat, right? But as the dude, if you come in with a dicky suit, with the with the long sleeve or the turtleneck, with the jean jacket, you know what I'm saying, you got a flag, hanging out your back pocket or whatever. You got the, you know what I'm saying, it's a walk, it's a aura that a lot of street dudes have, and we all know it when we see it, right? That's who they questioning and pressing heavy, right? Because it's the self hate, even though you look exactly like the nigga that you are pressing. So it's that song is the art. It's called the art of self hate, and not having that self love for each other is why a lot of these crimes, why this war is going on. And when you know your history, and that's what took me, it made me a little bit more at peace while I was teaching at the school that I was at, because it was a really rough school in the hard side of town up in Montgomery. It made me realize that, like, they're in their heads, they're not doing wrong, right? If they come in the middle of the class and someone said something in another class, and they making a scene in my room, in their head, that's not wrong, because that's what they do outside. You know what I'm saying? If someone disrespect you in the street, you got to address it immediately with anger and with violence, because that's just what they taught. But if you have first just some sort of education about what's going on in your own community, you have some type of patience with that, to teach them, like, nah, this is not how we operate, because you should find out this. You know what I'm saying? You just break down just simple, like, etiquette, right? And then when they see you being an example, and seeing someone that looked like them telling them, oh, this is another option, then it eases the situation, right? So it goes from the art of self hate to the art of self love, and that was a great song. I can listen to that all day. And also, you know what I'm saying, he what I like about that boy big stuff too is that he it's not just songs, right? He'll put in a sample of a lecture. So in this one, or some type of movie clip or sample. In this one, he ended off in a Farrakhan lecture. That's what real hip hop is, right? Hip, meaning you're hip. You know, what I'm saying you're smart. You're intellect, and hop is movement. And if an artist isn't teaching you anything, is it really hip hop, right? So he's teaching me a lot, right? So and going to the next track, that was track 2. Now going on to track 3, and that's called Blood Rain. Track 3 right here, Blood Rain, featuring Ruben Vincent. Never heard of Ruben Vincent. He has a whole catalog that I gotta dive into now. But man, this song right here, man. Oh man, the trumpet. I gotta find out if this is a sample from somewhere, or did he have someone come in to play that trumpet. But it's a very glory type of feel, right? That's what trumpets are to me whenever I hear a trumpet in a song. And whenever I hear a trumpet has that glory feel, it kind of reminds me of like you conquering something, right? And that goes back to the war theme of the album. It has a very like just like a glory, like someone that just got out of a like a battle, right? And when I was going through his Twitter page, he even retweeted that someone said that the instrumental reminded them of scenes in Boys in the Hood. And then when I went back and watched the scene when Ricky got killed, and the scene when they rolled up on the 3 dudes that killed Ricky at that was like a hamburger spot, right? It had that same type of trumpet. It wasn't the exact sample. I thought it was going to be the exact sample, but it wasn't the exact sample. But it had that same kind of glory, kind of warlike film. And if you know anything about the military, like trumpets are kind of played in their camps, and especially at like a funeral, right? And then that goes to the last song of the album, and I'll get to that connection of the uh the two-sided the two-sided kind of energy that a trumpet can have in war, right? So in that one, it was a beautiful song. Ruben Vincent, I'm a fan. It's off this one song. I will be going through your catalog. I think he has an album that dropped this year, so I'm gonna listen to that one first. But yeah, his verse was golden, man. His verse was golden. Um, so yeah, that's all I got on the Blood Is Rain. Yeah, it leads into the next song because that song Blood Rain has like a revenge theme, right? And it goes from that to Peace Is Hell, which is inspired by a Japanese film. So in the song Peace Is Hell, which is the 4th track, you know, this is how good the album is. It flows effortlessly from the sounds, the production, and also to what he says in the verses of the song. It flows like a true project supposed to, right? So in Blood Rain, like I said, has that, you know, it reminded people of that revenge scene from Boys in the Hood. And Peace Is Hell is inspired, and this is from the artist, you know, mouth himself. You know, from a post, you can go to his page. His Twitter name is Master Student, and he said that song Peace Is Hell is inspired by a Japanese film called Ran, which means chaos, and it's about a warlord going to war with his sons, right? And that's another film I gotta go and watch myself, which will probably make me understand the song even more. But it's again going back to the war theme that this album has. You know, the type of revenge that you had. Do you know the type of revenge and anger you have to go the war against your own blood, your own sons? So I know for sure I might have to do it tonight. go and watch that film. Uh, Great song too. Learn something from that. Got to feel another film I gotta watch. But yeah, that's what I gotta say about Piece of Cell. And I know that kind of breakdown of that song ain't really clear, but that's just how deep his stuff is. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip over to the next one. Uh, Ghostface, number 5. Ghostface. With it kind of he goes into more of the mentality of someone looking for revenge, right? Ghostface, right? Like the Ghostface character with the mask, right? So the mask now for all the young guys, and if you on Twitter, or really just any Facebook, it be Facebook, or just how you just moving around and around your city, you see the young guys with the shiesty mask. It could be 90 degrees outside, and they got on a full blown ski mask, right? That's the ghost face, no case. So that's the mentality of revenge. That I'm gotta be ready. I gotta be militant at all costs and be ready. So if I see that other side, if I see him slipping, I'm ready. I'm more ready. The ghost face, the shiesty mask, the ski mask. So that's what I got out of that one. He's delivering and trying to create an image of the mentality of revenge in that song, Ghostface. Skip over the 7th track and go to my favorite. This is my favorite. What I'm telling you, my favorite track on the album. It might just be the beat. It might just be the beat. And another thing I like about this is that it kind of, compared to the other instrumentals on the tape, it kind of has a more of a uplifting, kind of a upbeat type of production with the guitar. Um, and I just love the sound. I really just love the sound of that one. Please play that. Take the time, pause this video, and listen to Dancing with Devils. Uh, and that first line, we talk about John Carpenter. I never knew who that was. Again, of why this is real hip hop. He's teaching me stuff. I don't know who. I never knew who John Carpenter was, and now I got movies and projects and stuff I need to watch of him to to just open my mind, broaden my mind, elevate my consciousness of other types of art that I never would have looked into without this artist, right? How many rappers actually make you pause the song and look up something and learn something new? That don't really happen that often, right? So that's why I appreciate this song a lot. Just off that first line alone and the production and how it kind of get you moving a little bit with that guitar. At least for me, it did. Um, and another thing too is that it seemed like he got even louder. Like Dat Boi Vic. His delivery, like it got more, like his volume of his delivery got louder through the song, and it kind of emphasized his words a little bit more, the meaning of the song a little bit more. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly, but that was the best production, best beat alone, and the best delivery at the same time. And to me, after track 8, it kind of shifts into another. I don't want to say another element of the album, but it's a big shift between the first 7 tracks and the 8th track. To me, it just it completely kind of makes you look at war in another light. Like it kind of gives you a little bit of, all right, like it kind of gives you a little hope. Like we can get out of this. We can get out of this, right? Um, and he ended off this one with a lecture from Nuri Muhammad, and I've listened to his stuff on I don't know if it's Vlad TV. I think he did do some interviews with Vlad, but he's another member of Nation of Islam, and a lot of people think that Nuri Muhammad is going to be the person that will be the new face of the Nation of Islam once Farrakhan transitions into his next phase after he passes, right? sidetrack, but that was who at the end of Dancing with Devils, that was Nuri Muhammad at the end of that song, that sample. Right, when you talk about the psyops inside war, there are psyops and social engineers and things of that nature. That's who that was, Nuri Muhammad. So that's another speaker that I would suggest anyone that's into this type of knowledge of past black leaders, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. He's in that same class in my book. And then we're gonna go ahead and skip to the last song of the album right here. One day, this war is going to end. Ending this off in the shortest song of the album, but it wraps it up very, very well, because on first listen, the sound you're gonna hear a trumpet, but this time it's a sadder sounding trumpet compared to the one on Blood Rain. And was another song? No, it was just Blood Rain, right? So, like I said before, on Blood Rain, the trumpet had like a glory feel, right? Like you just conquered something, right? Like in war, like you conquered, you got the kill. You know what I'm saying? You completed the mission. That glory sound. But at the end, well, not at the end, but at the end of the album, the last song of the album, it has a trumpet sound too, but it has more of a sound has more of a blues feel, right? Like not that you lost per se, but that you are denouncing, you are putting down your flag almost. That's the first thing that came to my mind. And if you know anything about the military, if anyone passes away, if that person was a member of the military, now I actually will play the song. They play this song called Taps, and I went to a funeral before of a person that was in the military. I forgot what branch, but they played this song during the funeral, and I actually will go to that now. The song is called Taps, and they play this at every uh, veterans funeral. Now I'll play it. So yeah, that's is a song that's played at the funeral of anyone that's a veteran, right? It's the song of the fallen soldier, right? And that's what the trumpet in One Day This War Is Going to End, the last track of the album, kind of reminded me of. And what a perfect way to end an album that's titled that with a military song. And it also got me to thinking, because Vic, he has it seems like he has a very high knowledge of the Nation of Islam in Farrakhan specifically, and I can't find that lecture, but if you know anything about gang culture, in America and how gangs operate, regardless if they're from Chicago or LA or the South. All gangs have no, now whether they operate in them or not, they still have a military type of foundation, meaning that you got to have the ability to recite certain knowledge, or to uh, you know be your brother's keeper or protect your fellow soldier no matter what, right? It's a death call your name. And Farrakhan has even said it himself, and I wish I could find that lecture, that clip, but he says that black men are militant by nature, right? It's just that a lot of our youth uh have that natural militant urge, just go in the wrong direction, that low vibrational direction, to feed that need of camaraderie, of that militant, like, discipline. Because I'm not in the streets, never been in it, never been around it, surrounded it, but I've had family, and I kind of look at them from afar. Just guys I went to school with, kind of look at them from afar. Regardless if you agree with it or not, it is a level of discipline that you have to have, just like anything in life. But it's like that type of discipline, that warlike discipline, to like avoid police, or to be on the lookout, have your head on the swivel. Any car that ride by, they clutching on their guns. That's very militaristic. You know what I'm saying? So Farrakhan does have a point that we all are militaristic by nature, and even if you're not in the streets, all men know, whether they do it or not, you should wake up every day and work out. You should put your mind to something. You should create something. You should have a program for yourself to better yourself, and that's a very that's a disciplined, militaristic type of ideology that you have to carry forth, whether you're in the streets or not, right? So when it says that this war, one day this war is going to end, even if you're not in the streets, you're at war with yourself. You're at war with your distractions, your weaknesses, right? So regardless of what you know let me see, how do I say it, like no matter what avenue of life that you're going down, it's still a war. You're still at war with yourself. So some people are at war, like for real, in the streets or with their family, or what I'm saying. Then there's others, you're at war with yourself. You're at war with your distractions. You're at war with your weaknesses. You're at war with your vices, right? And one day it's going to end, and it can end in glory, or it can end with you being the fallen soldier to those vices. And that's what I got out of it. Type of like Farrakhan said, every black man is naturally militant. So I'm gonna end this review with a rating, and also a reading from this Facebook post I found from this brother from the Nation of Islam. But if I had to rate this, I mean, I can't find no faults in this album, because this is just the type of album that I can listen to over and over again, and find new gems days later. It's a 10 out of 10 to me. The album cover matches the sound. I'm learning from it. I can dissect it. I can give an intellectual perspective to it, to the arts, and I can give a perspective to it for guys that might be in the streets, because this artist has lived in both worlds, right? He's lived in the street world, and he's made it out alive, and he's now in the conscious world, but he can dive back and forth as far as his perspective, because he's lived both. So I don't see anything. Like, you might not like a beat or two, but for me, words over beats, words over beats, and album on this tape, on this project. But I want to end it off because I couldn't find that Farrakhan lecture on why black men are militant, or just when he said it. But I'm gonna read this real quick. This is from this guy named Akbar Rahman Muhammad. He's a member of the Nation of Islam. I don't know anything about this guy. I just found this little uh section. I don't know if it's from a book or I think no, I think it's from a Farrakhan lecture, and some of his quotes are in the mints. I'm gonna just read through this real quick. This is how I'm gonna end off the album review of Dat Boi Vic. One day this war is gonna end. So I'm gonna go ahead and start reading this now. It says, militancy is an attribute arising from the reality of warfare. It involves being mindful that war is underway. And you know, young people, you are not mindful of that. You are not mindful that I am talking about black people, the black youth, the Joshua generation. Well, Joshua was a warrior. You're not mindful of the legacy that you come from. And that legacy is to be enslaved and terrorized and denied freedom, justice, and equality. So it would behoove you, it would be in your best interest to learn about your legacy and then take a military posture and forego clowning and being lackluster. Like I said, it's just about that military discipline. As we move onto this imminent departure of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and what we must do and accomplish during his absence, because when he returns, we want him to find faith among us and a changed people. Now he is not going to be gone from us in the sense of being aware of what's happening. I am the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I am of his Christ, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we have work to do. May Allah continue to bless us as we move forward towards this great day. It's a great day. It's a dreadful day for the wicked, but it's a great day for us. We all should be of the spirit of war. I thank Allah for the spirit he has given me, and you should thank him if you have a warlike spirit yourself. Many of our people enjoy fighting. We are just fighting the wrong people and sometimes fighting in the wrong way. So let's take what Allah has given us, the spirit of militancy, the spirit of seeking justice and freedom, and follow the guidance of Allah's Messiah, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. The Honorable Kareem Allah's Message on War Footing Part 1. So that's where it came from, this little excerpt right here. And I can't deny that. And that proves to that Farrakhan's quote that I was speaking of when he said that black men are naturally militant. And I can't deny it. Whether you are in the streets, whether you're just a working man, you have to have a level of military discipline to be productive in some way, or to to conquer. You can conquer for evil, and you can conquer for good. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this off here. Please go listen to this album. I would love to hear y'all comments on what you think the album meant, with your favorite tracks, and even your own breakdown of your favorite tracks. So I'm out. Jeremiah again. Please subscribe to the channel. If you have other albums that you want me to break down, feel free to list those in the comments as well, and I'll get to it. So peace.